What camera are you shooting from, 1 or 2?
So thanks for tuning in for another very liberal episode of the Liberal Buzz Show. And I have my guest here who took videos of police misconduct, and maybe even PetraDeJesus may call in, we don't know. Hopefully she will. I ran into her at all my club meetings. So, and we were talking about, because I endorse PetraDeJesus for District 17, DeJesus, representing District 17. And so you can find her on Facebook. And I'll give you more news about her. Hopefully she'll call in. Now, I've got a lot of issues to cover on the laws and how actually the city hall is getting away with a lot. You know, allowing the police to get away with an awful lot of misconduct. And that's why this is happening. It's not. It goes to it's political. Actually, Scott Wiener could have made the laws more stringent involving police brutality and accountability, and he declined to do so. And so it's the cops even walked out on the community at the Mario Woods public comment. I was there. They just all walked out in unison. They were told by one person and a higher up in the police department for everyone to walk out and not even listen to our public comments. So with that kind of an attitude, we're going to continue to see violence like Luis, the homeless man, on, I guess it was Clarion Street. So, or was it Shotwell? Shotwell it was. So, they've got to bond with the community more. That's a solution. That's just my solution to police brutality. This is the man that took a video of the an episode that actually went viral. I showed it last week. It was on Eddie and Taylor, where the police had a guy face down kicking him up anyway on the concrete. So we got videos of that, and the police asked to get the video, the camera from Gilbert. And so we're going to get into that a little bit later. So I'm just introducing the show. Maybe she'll call in at 603, 604. Maybe she won't. But this is supposed to be liberal San Francisco. You know, it's the largest police department. It's the best paid in the Bay Area. You know, we have more police officers per person. And but the Office of Citizens Complaints is kind of an agency, OCC we'll call it, created by a ballot initiative. But there was an article about it being toothless, it not having, partly because of people aren't being trained properly and they don't have constitutional law education behind them, sort of like Obama does.
Can I say something to you?
Yeah.
It seems like the different police departments have different political motives. Like in Missouri,
not all of them have an OCC, and not all of them have.
But listen, Denise. In Ferguson, Missouri, it turns out the police department raises funds for the city. The city gets most of its general revenue from the police department. So the Justice Department found that out. So you have different police forces all over the country. The typical case of the speed trap. The whole little town gets its money for tickets.
You can talk about that after I do the intro.
So anyway, I was just going to say our city is lucky because we get most of our money from tourism. So our police don't have to write quotas and make money by giving people tickets. That's all I was going to say.
Okay, so see, the Office of Citizens Complaints, this is where I was left off, was created to calm public outrage at the police department. So, and obviously the police officers' powerful union, they don't like the Office of Citizens Complaints and don't want to be policed. So, that's as simply as you can put it. The police don't want to be policed. Instead, they want more tasers and more weapons to use on us So, even though there's plenty of countries where cops aren't armed like this, and it's more peaceful for sure. So there's a core of bad cops protected by the POA, and nobody's really disciplining them. So they protect their own, but the San Francisco political establishment allows or even encourages lack of accountability. So racist text messaging cops are still on the force. Those text messages were hideous. So, and with 6 fatal shootings by the SFPD in 2015, and then with Luis recently, the homeless Latino. Yeah. And all Mayor Lee can do is force the encampments to go, like the forced march, the march of the march of the homeless.
Shuffle them around
the
city.
Even though they're being killed.
Right.
And this guy had an expectation. You know that, by the way, that if you live in a tent, you have an expectation of privacy. If you're in a public place and the tent's closed, the flaps of the doors are closed, and no one's told you to leave. If no one's told you to leave, you have a reasonable expectation of privacy before they can search you legally. And take videos. Keep taking videos of the cops, because that's legal too. That was ruled on over and over unanimously, that taking videos of the police is perfectly legal. And so that must be my guest, Petra. Good evening. Is this Petra DeJesus from the Police Commission?
Right, this is Petra. How are you?
Oh, just great. Glad to hear from you.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I ran into traffic, but I'm here now.
Oh, how wonderful to hear from you. Now, Petra DeJesus is just a rock. The rock of, Petra means rock, and she is the rock of the Police Commission, and we need her in government forever, you know.
That's so great.
Yes, and so you have an opportunity to support her on the June ballot for the DCCC, and I encourage you to register. If you haven't registered to vote, please do so and vote for her. And there's plenty of good progressive candidates. So, Petra, we were talking about the 6 fatal shootings and and then this latest one of the homeless Latino man. But the mayor ordered the police commission to rewrite the use of force policies. The police union officers association unions complain about their hands being tied, and all they want are more tasers. Is that true? More toys and weapons to use on us?
Right. I mean, that's certainly one of the issues they have is that if they, besides the gun, they need another weapon. They need tasers, but some of us argue that they have other weapons at their disposal, like a baton, a shield, and things that they can use against sharp-edged weapons, but this would open the door for them to say they need tasers.
So they're going to rewrite the use of force out guidelines to go from reasonable force to minimal force.
Right. So actually, the way it is right now, so what's been in place is for them to use minimal force on all arrests. But we sent out the use of force to work with community groups and the POA. And the POA struck the word minimal force, and they want reasonable force. And that's really not necessary. It should be minimal force if we're changing the whole thought process that, life is, preserving the sanctity of life. Any arrest that they're going to make should be made with minimal force.
Right. Okay, so now when they use minimal force, you're talking about, say, what sort of techniques?
So yes. So a lot of these arrests, or a lot of these officer-involved shootings have dealt with people in crises, people with perhaps mental health issues, maybe people under the influence, but just people in crisis, basically. And so the whole idea is really to implement de-escalation practices, how you talk to them, putting time and distance, putting perimeter, not rushing in, not shouting, not making chaos, basically.
It seems to escalate the situation, not de-escalate it, doesn't it?
Correct.
Especially when someone doesn't speak English. And no, there's no bilingual, they should have bilingual outreach people. In fact, I think more Americans need to be bilingual anyway.
Can I say something, Denise? This last incident where this, what was it, the city services called the police to get this guy because he had a knife on his belt bucket. Anyway, he was I believe he was an immigrant. He had just become homeless, and perhaps where he came from, the police department is so corrupt that when you get picked up by the police, you're not necessarily going to jail. They take you out to the countryside and kill you. So we're
Ouch.
talking about in Mexico and stuff like that. So if he was an undocumented person from Mexico, when he saw the SFPD coming for him, he saw a death warrant. So I can't speak for him, but I'm just saying people from other countries, they transfer that, but they see their police in their homeland, they see that our police the same way, and it's not the same case.
Now, that's true. Now, what about Malia Cohen? She was looking into having all police shootings investigated by the OCC, not just when someone complains.
Right, and she has that on the ballot, and I think it's for the June ballot, Proposition B.
Oh, is it?
And, yeah,
So we want to urge people to vote yes on B as well as yes on A.
yes on B, you want an automatic investigation of all officer-involved shootings, rather than right now, the officer citizen complaint has to wait till there's an actual complaint before they can investigate.
I have a question that's been burning a hole in my brain for a long time. Is City Hall scared, the political structure in City Hall, are they scared of the Police Officers Association union?
You know, I can only talk about my experience on the Democratic Central Committee, and I know when we had the Black Lives Resolution, even though they had worked with the community and on the language, they sent several letters to stop it from coming up on the agenda, postponing it from the agenda, and then ultimately they had it, they had an amendment, well, they didn't have it, but an amendment was made and pretty much gutted the resolution.
Oh. So, because, the OCC, they have like between 800 and 1,000 complaints each year and only 17 people investigating it. Is that true?
So I know they're short staffed, and I know that they do have a certain amount of investigators. I think 17 sounds about right. I don't remember how many complaints they have per year, but they are over. They have a lot. They're over what I'm looking for the right word. What the quota really should be per every investigator. Their loads are quite heavy.
Yeah, and see that they take disciplinary guidelines from the SFPD, the OCC, don't they? The Office of Citizens Complaints, aren't there guidelines from the SFPD themselves?
Well, I mean, it depends, because the OCC also will bring charges against police officers, and when it comes to if they're sustained, then there are certain guidelines that we look at in terms of punishment. And they do come from the department, not from the COA.
Like suspension without pay and that sort of thing?
Correct.
Yeah. Or maybe a desk job. Are they, by the way, this is a funny question, are they running out of desk jobs for...
Denise, I have a question
Okay,
for the
Gene.
commissioner. They came out with a Supreme Court ruling about a year ago, or no, wait, say it was back maybe 3 or 4 years ago. The Supreme Court of the United States said that you cannot grab a person's cell phone because it's also a computer, and therefore yada yada yada. You have to get a warrant to confiscate it. So is it possible that there's some police officers out on the street right now that don't know that? I mean, they're supposed to be law enforcement. Are they well informed? Do they know they're not supposed to grab somebody's phone and take it, even if it is evidence?
It's a ruling that they can't.
No, but I mean, do the police know that? Are they briefed? Are they briefed frequently on the new laws?
Right. So they do have a whole training division, and when the law changes, they do send bulletins out, and they have continued education at the academy, and then everyone in the force gets those bulletins, and the sergeants go over it with them. So technically, they're supposed to all be informed when there's changes in the law.
Does
Yeah, I
anybody check
remember
up
that
on them? Does anybody test them to see if they're reading the reports and stuff? Because they may just not be reading them.
Well, no, the sergeant, well, my understanding is before every department goes out, before every squad car, before they go out on their shift, they have a sign. They sign up, they're there, and the sergeant goes over anything that's important with them.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Yeah, now if somebody lives in a tent, they have a reasonable expectation of privacy, don't they? As long as nobody's asked them to leave previously and the tent is closed and they can't see anything that's inside the tent. The police can't see what's inside the tent. What if his tent's, just hypothetically, if somebody is in a tent, and would the police be able to just go in their tent with that, do they have an expectation of privacy for their tent even though it's in public?
I don't know. I'm not really up on that in terms of a home. If they can call it a home, and I guess it would depend on what circumstances a police officer is even approaching the tent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they could have de-escalated that with, in fact, for instance, there was a guy on my roof that wanted to jump off the roof, and it was all day. It was on the Ritz Hotel roof. It was all over the news. And so finally, the police they de-escalated it by getting a cat and a pizza, because the guy was hungry and he liked cats. So they found out what would so I liked the resolution of that particular situation. Because the guy was threatening to jump off the building. And I think that more incidents should be treated like mental health or personal trauma incidents rather than criminals.
2 days later, 2 days later, there was a guy that climbed up a crane, and they brought him down by offering him a pizza. So that works, Give people what they need.
I should get it for you, but we do have the CIC officers, and last year 10 of them were honored for using de-escalation and resolving issues without force or violence. And
that's wonderful.
We should publicize that. Yeah.
We should. They need credit. I don't want to just be the all these Debbie Downer issues, but I mean, people do get hangry. They're hungry and they're angry. That's a new word in the dictionary, hangry. So that's also when they have a crisis, just by being hungry and mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like little babies, they cry when they're hungry too. So let's talk about the early intervention system.
Okay.
Can you tell me some more about that? The early intervention system by Greg Sir as a tool to weed out bad behavior. The system, does it have design flaws?
And you have 3 minutes.
Well, apparently so. I mean, I think, we set it up hoping that it would catch people before they get in trouble, but I think if you saw the report that was done a few weeks ago, I think it was 336, so there were several hundred flags that came down, but only 6 people were counseled.
Wow.
And there just seemed something wrong with that number.
Wow.
And so that's something we are going to look into and investigate whether it's really working the way it should be.
Yeah, and now the ACLU had a letter to the commission before the reforms were put in place, and so the SFPD and its oversight body, the commission, which you're on, they have to make sure the system already in place actually works, right?
Right. It seems that we really haven't examined the early intervention system as thoroughly as we should have. And the report that we have, I think if you were there, wasn't as detailed as it should be. The ACLU has sent, it sent a letter and they pointed out some of the serious deficiencies, so it's something we certainly have to look into.
Yeah, well, there's also, thanks, I really appreciate the work you're doing on the police commission.
30 seconds.
No, we actually have 2 more minutes.
Oh, sorry.
So, let's see, what else did I want to get to? The early intervention system, and, let's see. Now.
Okay. So let me just say something. I'm working on a reform slate for the DeJesusLiberalBuzz, and it'd really be good if you and your viewers or listeners would look into the reform slate and see whether, there are a bunch of progressives who want to reform the whole DeJesusLiberalBuzz and do what's right for the city.
Okay, so you have 2 minutes to tell us how we can reform the city at the voting booth.
Okay, so we have a reform slate, it's had Aaron Peskin, Tom Armiano, John Burton, David Campos, myself, Devin Dusky, John Gollinger, Fatima Gupta, Francis Shea, Jane Kim, Rafael Mandolin, Sophie Maxwell, Leroy Wade, Cindy Wu, and Elizabeth Alexander. That's on the 17th, but we also have a slate for the 19th section. But we want to we really want to stop evictions, get housing, get real jobs.
Yeah, take back the DCCC from the real estate mongers.
Right, and then the head of the DCCC is the lobbyist for the real estate interests, and we want to change that.
Yes, indeed, we do. So we have a really good chance of that. And with the supervisors rate, all the odd numbers are up this time. I don't think Aaron Peskin's running against anybody. Nobody's announced it. So if you want to be involved in politics, my dear viewers, please get involved in working campaigns and doing what you can to help liberal candidates, because they need it. We need being liberal is a constant struggle to preserve our values, because we're always having to beat back the oligarchy, especially since we have money in politics and all that sort of thing. So I have a lot of hope for the future, and so please vote for and support PetraDeJesus. I want to thank Police Commissioner PetraDeJesus for participating in our show today. And
Thank you so much.
yes, okay, you take care, and I'll see you really soon. Stay with me on Facebook. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks, bye.
Okay, so I'll see you soon, and on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Adios.